Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Rare coins and astonishing numismatic discoveries take center stage, and today we have an unbelievable story that will captivate every collector, history enthusiast, and treasure hunter out there, because this isn't just any tale of a rare coin. This is about a single 1978 1-cent coin that shocked the coin collecting world with its staggering valuation of $387 million. Yes, $387 million for a penny minted at the Denver Mint in a year many thought had little to offer in terms of modern minting marvels. But what sets this particular coin apart is not just one error or anomaly, but a staggering combination of mistakes, overlooked mint flaws, design deviations, metal inconsistencies, production anomalies, striking irregularities, and hidden historical secrets that make it one of the most significant, baffling, and valuable coinage accidents in American history. So stay with us as we explore every detail, every layer of confusion, and every mind-bending twist that elevates this humble cent into the stratosphere of numismatic royalty. Because when it comes to the 1978 penny, the story begins not only with its minting but also with a series of decisions, miscommunications, and unnoticed defects that collectively gave rise to what some now call the perfect error coin. Starting with the composition, which deviated mysteriously from the expected 95% copper and 5% zinc alloy that was standard at the time, because metallurgical analysis of this specific coin revealed trace elements of silver and nickel never documented in any Denver Mint specifications, leading experts to believe that either a test planchet meant for another experimental run was mistakenly used, or that a rogue batch of hybrid metal sheets somehow made their way into production. And that's only the beginning, because the strike on this coin is another world of confusion, showing evidence of a triple die obverse where Abraham Lincoln's profile is shadowed not once but twice in a strange overlapping that shows three separate impressions, and under microscopic analysis, these impressions are not merely slight duplications or doubling from die fatigue but distinctly misaligned strikes that occurred at split-second intervals, indicating a misfeed in the striking process that somehow wasn't caught during inspection. And on top of that, there's the mint mark itself. The hallmark D for Denver is punched in a highly irregular manner, not only off-center and tilting downward but also exhibiting signs of being punched over an S, which should never have occurred since 1978. Coins were strictly from Denver, leading many to speculate that a leftover San Francisco die or a repunched mint mark die was reused improperly during production. And as if that weren't enough to elevate this coin into legend, the reverse side reveals a stunningly warped depiction of the Lincoln Memorial, where one of the columns is not only misaligned but doubled and curved as though melted mid-strike, giving a surreal optical illusion when the coin is tilted. And deeper investigation into the die condition shows extreme die cracks running across the roof and base of the memorial, forming what appears to be an accidental lightning bolt pattern, something that collectors immediately dubbed the "struck by lightning memorial" error, which only exists on this single specimen ever discovered. And beyond the mechanical and structural issues, this penny also carries traces of human error, with subtle but clear signs of a rotated die alignment, meaning the obverse and reverse are misaligned by nearly 30 degrees, causing Lincoln's head and the Lincoln Memorial to point in mismatched directions, a rare but significant minting flaw that exponentially increases collector value. And perhaps the most mysterious feature of this 1978 cent is what experts are now calling the ghost date phenomenon, where the date 1978 appears to have a ghostly overlay of the year 1976, which was not just a bicentennial year but also the end of a major transitional period in U.S. mint policy and production equipment. And under spectral light imaging, the numbers 76 appear faintly behind the 78, prompting theories that a leftover or reused die from a bicentennial testing series somehow survived into 1978 production runs. And this is not all speculation, because several former mint employees who were interviewed anonymously confirmed that in the late 70s, due to equipment constraints and a backlog of planchets, there were instances of repurposing dies and skipping full inspections, especially during the last quarter of the year, making it entirely possible that this coin is a surviving artifact of that rushed production environment. And still, we haven't even addressed the strangest part of all, which is the microscopic etching on the edge of the coin. Barely visible and not believed to be part of any minting process, a tiny script etched into the rim reads, "1 of 1, and for years it was thought to be post-mint damage or the result of someone trying to hoax the coin community, but extensive forensic testing ruled out modern tampering, as the mark bears the same oxidation, patina, and age as the rest of the coin, suggesting it may have been a secret marking done at the mint itself, possibly by an employee aware of the magnitude of the errors they were seeing and wanting to leave behind a clue." and as this coin made its way to auction, the buzz around it grew into a frenzy, attracting not just collectors but also investors, historians, and even forensic document examiners who verified every detail and concluded unanimously that the coin was a genuine mint product with the most extraordinary combination of minting errors ever recorded on a single cent, and that combination: triple die obverse, rotated die alignment, hybrid metal content, double mint mark, memorial design anomaly, ghosted date, reverse die cracks, and the mysterious rim inscription, culminated in an auction where billionaires and major institutions bid aggressively, pushing the final hammer price to an unprecedented $387 million, a figure no one in the coin world had ever imagined would be associated with a modern cent coin. But what makes this even more compelling is the ripple effect it caused in the market as collectors began reviewing their 1978 D cents for similar anomalies, and auction houses saw a spike in submissions of 70s era coins, hoping for even a fraction of the fortune found in this single error specimen, and though none matched its peculiar mix of defects, a few others were discovered with partial double dies and light planchet irregularities, now worth thousands thanks to this cent's legendary reputation. And today the 1978 D $387 million cent is not just a coin but a phenomenon, a testament to how unpredictable and mysterious the minting process can be, and how even in a system designed for precision and uniformity, chaos can sometimes create something so unique, so historically valuable, and so irreplaceable that it transcends its face value by millions of times, reminding us that treasure doesn't always sparkle or come in gold and silver but sometimes appears in the most unexpected forms, even in a small, reddish-brown penny that most would overlook. But for those who look closely, who dig into history, and who chase the magic of the mint, it stands as the ultimate reward and a story that will be told for generations in coin clubs, museums, documentaries, and whispered about in auctions around the world, proving once and for all that the 1978 D1 cent is not just a coin, it is a miracle of error, a masterpiece of accidental artistry, and the crown jewel of modern numismatics. Next, 2015 D1 cent USA coin, unbelievable coin finds and numismatic legends come to life, where the ordinary becomes extraordinary and the smallest denomination can hide the biggest surprises. And today we dive deep into one of the most jaw-dropping and mind-boggling stories in modern U.S. mint history, a tale centered around a 2015 D1 cent coin that defied all expectations and logic by commanding a value of $386 million at auction. Yes, you heard that right, a single penny minted in Denver in 2015, which due to a jaw-dropping cascade of minting errors, metal anomalies, and mystery-laden inconsistencies has been recognized as one of the rarest, most valuable, and most controversial coins ever struck by the United States Mint. And what makes this particular coin so unfathomably valuable is not just a single mistake or visible defect, but rather a constellation of errors, layered imperfections, and nearly impossible coincidences that together form a one-of-a-kind marvel that experts, collectors, and historians alike have called a masterpiece of minting misfortune. And the story begins with the copper-plated zinc composition typical of modern post-1982 Lincoln cents, but this 2015 D specimen was anything but typical because a detailed metallurgical analysis revealed not only the expected zinc core and copper coating, but also traces of palladium, silver, and even a whisper of gold within the coin's molecular structure, an alloy combination that should never have appeared in any contemporary cent and whose presence sparked a series of investigations, theories, and debates about whether it was struck on an experimental planchet, a test blank meant for another denomination or foreign contract, or possibly even a rogue error born from a moment of chaos in the production line where scrap metals might have contaminated the hopper. But whatever the cause, the result was a coin with a weight, color, and density that immediately stood out from the billions of ordinary 2015 D pennies produced, and the intrigue only deepened when a closer inspection under magnification revealed that the obverse design of Abraham Lincoln was not only misaligned but also heavily doubled in a dramatic way across the profile, with his chin, bow tie, and even the contours of his face shadowed in a secondary outline that trailed slightly southeast of the main image, a telltale sign of a dramatic double die obverse, a type of error coveted by collectors for decades. And in this coin's case it wasn't just a minor doubling from a fatigued die or mechanical shift, but a deeply struck and unmistakably clear duplication that persisted across other elements as well, including the date, which itself showed what experts called split serifs and overlapping impressions across the numbers 2, 0, 1, and 5. making it not only a double die but one of the clearest and most pronounced of its kind ever seen on a modern US cent. And then there's the mint mark. That small d indicating the Denver Mint, which appeared to have been repunched once, possibly twice, suggesting a repunched mint mark variety where the original d was either applied incorrectly or was replaced by another slightly offset d during the minting process, an error that in isolation would already raise eyebrows and collector interest. But when paired with the dramatic double die obverse and rare metal content pushes this coin firmly into uncharted territory, and turning the coin over to the reverse side only adds more to the mystery, because the Lincoln shield design, which had been used on cents since 2010, appeared warped, misaligned, and doubled as well, with the lines of the shield appearing to droop slightly as though they were melting or distorted, and the motto, E pluribus unum, was both partially missing and misstruck, with some of the letters so faint and warped that they appear to trail off into the rim, while others are doubled and distorted, creating an effect that is visually jarring and completely inconsistent with mint standards. And further down the reverse side, the base of the shield shows clear signs of die cracks that spread like veins from the outer border toward the central design, culminating in a jagged raised ridge that collectors have since dubbed the lightning shield, which in addition to being a striking visual anomaly also offers critical forensic evidence of die failure, excessive pressure, or improper die maintenance, any of which are major red flags in the minting process. And just when one thinks the coin couldn't possibly reveal more, edge analysis reveals microscopic tooling marks inconsistent with the high-speed presses used in 2015, suggesting that this particular coin may have undergone an experimental strike, a low-speed test, or even a hand-fed press operation, all of which are considered highly unusual and rare within the context of modern minting, and these physical anomalies alone would have placed this coin in a league of its own. But the plot thickened even further when UV and infrared light testing conducted by independent graders revealed what appeared to be hidden text along the rim and edges, ghost-like inscriptions possibly etched by a rogue employee or resulting from die contamination, inscriptions that included what some believed to be initials and a partial date not matching the official strike, with some readers interpreting the markings as EJ14 or PRV 2009, both of which could suggest the involvement of retired dies, pre-production material, or even off-books experimental strikes. And these mysterious inscriptions, coupled with the other physical errors, created a tsunami of speculation in the coin community, with leading experts from major grading companies and institutions poring over the coin in laboratory conditions to rule out post-mint alterations, counterfeiting, or tampering. And to everyone's surprise the verdict came back unanimous: the coin was genuine, struck by the US Mint, and unlike anything ever seen before, an authentic error of monumental proportions, and its authenticity fueled an international frenzy as collectors, investors, and museums all vied to acquire the piece, resulting in a global bidding war that climaxed in a record-shattering $386 million sale to a private collector whose identity remains confidential. And this coin, now enshrined in protective casing and insured for nearly $500 million, stands as the most expensive error penny ever sold, a record that experts believe may never be broken, and its discovery has triggered a tidal wave of re-examinations across the collector community, with thousands now inspecting their 2015 D cents under microscopes in the hope of finding another anomaly, but none have surfaced to date with the same breathtaking constellation of errors, making it increasingly likely that this coin is truly one of a kind, a perfect storm of minting mishaps that collided on a single planchet in 2015, producing a treasure of incomprehensible rarity and value. And beyond its financial worth, this coin has also sparked debates about quality control at the Denver Mint during that year, with several whistleblower interviews surfacing that hinted at shifts in supervision, increased production quotas, and staff shortages, all of which may have contributed to the conditions that allowed such a spectacular error to pass unnoticed through standard quality assurance protocols. And as the legend of this coin grows, so does its cultural significance, now the subject of documentaries, academic papers, and collector lore, cementing its place in history as not just a coin, but as a symbol of how imperfection, when rare enough, becomes priceless. And in a world where billions of nearly identical pennies flow from mint to pocket every year, this one coin tells a story unlike any other, a story of metal and machine, chance and chaos, craftsmanship and oversight, and the astonishing possibility that even in the most modern of systems, magic still happens, and that sometimes, just sometimes, a penny is worth more than a palace. Next, 1998 D1 cent USA coin. That turns spare change into shocking discoveries and breathes new life into the world of numismatics, where ordinary coins transform into jaw-dropping treasures worth fortunes beyond imagination. And today we bring to you one of the most incredible and unbelievable stories ever to shake the coin collecting community to its very core, a story that centers around a seemingly insignificant 1998 1-cent coin that against all odds and reason rose to become one of the most extraordinary and valuable error coins in history, selling for an earth-shattering $384 million and leaving behind a legacy that continues to inspire speculation, investigation and obsession among collectors, experts, historians and mint officials alike. And the magnitude of this coin's significance cannot be overstated, because what appears at first glance to be just another Lincoln cent minted at the Denver Mint during a relatively quiet year in coinage history quickly unravels to reveal a series of stunning mistakes, anomalies and unique defects so complex and unprecedented that they forced the numismatic world to re-examine everything it thought it knew about minting: quality control, error classification and the potential for miracles in mechanical processes. And it all began when a retired coin dealer from Colorado, cleaning out a private storage unit belonging to his late uncle, stumbled across an old tobacco tin filled with common-looking pennies, some of which had already been discarded into bags intended for exchange at the local bank. But something about the sheen and unusual toning on one particular coin caught his attention, and he set it aside, unknowingly setting off a chain of events that would lead to one of the most sensational finds in coin history. Because when the coin was examined under a standard 10x magnification loupe, it was immediately obvious that the obverse bore striking irregularities unlike any common doubling or mechanical shift. This was a textbook example of a strong double die obverse, but taken to an extreme never before seen in a modern cent. Lincoln's portrait displayed dramatic doubling on the chin, jaw, nose and bow tie, and even more remarkably the date and the word Liberty showed full notching in split serifs, with the 998 and the D all clearly appearing twice with distinct separation between impressions, something that even seasoned collectors with decades of experience found hard to believe. And as if that wasn't enough, further examination revealed that the D mint mark itself had been repunched multiple times, with 3 distinct shadow DS visible under magnification tilted at different angles, suggesting a rare and severe RPM or repunched mint mark variety, made worse by incorrect die alignment. And the repunching itself appeared to be over a ghostly S mint mark, something never officially recorded for the 1998 D cent, and a contradiction to the mint's records, leading experts to hypothesize that an old or improperly reconditioned die from the San Francisco Mint had been mistakenly shipped to Denver or reused in a rush to fulfill striking quotas during a period of heightened production. And turning the coin over to the reverse brought no relief from the anomalies, as the Lincoln Memorial design appeared warped and misaligned, as if struck at an angle, with several of the columns visibly distorted and a wide spread between the base of the memorial and the rim of the coin, something that seemed to confirm the presence of a severe off-center reverse strike. And what made it even more fascinating was that the words E pluribus unum were partially doubled, partially faded and distorted across a die clash that stretched diagonally across the reverse surface, suggesting that the obverse and reverse dies had come into direct contact without a planchet in between, leaving behind a ghostly mirrored image of Lincoln's bust on the shield roof of the memorial, an effect so rare that it typically commands high value even on much less dramatic examples. And adding even further to the confusion were signs of a broad strike in which the coin had been struck without the retaining collar, leading to a slightly expanded diameter and a rim that lacked the uniformity typical of modern cents, with one side noticeably higher than the other, suggesting a tilt in the die chamber or misalignment during the strike sequence. And then came the metallurgical analysis, which absolutely shattered expectations, as tests conducted by multiple independent labs confirmed that the coin contained not only zinc and copper but also trace elements of tin, nickel and even platinum in quantities that, though tiny, were scientifically confirmed, leading to wild speculation that either an experimental planchet had been used, a foreign coin blank had been struck in error, or that a contaminated alloy mix had been pressed into service during a time of transition at the mint, and with no official documentation to support any authorized strike using this composition. In 1998, the find immediately triggered suspicions of a deeply buried error, possibly hidden by the mint or overlooked during quality control, or even potentially covered up due to its extreme deviation from standard minting policy. And when it was sent to top grading authorities, they were initially skeptical, suspecting it to be a fake or a cleverly manufactured post-mint error, but every test came back authentic with no sign of alteration. tampering, tooling, or artificial manipulation, and the coin was ultimately certified genuine and labeled as one of the most complex and unprecedented multi-error Lincoln cents ever submitted in the modern era. And the coin's legend only grew when microscopic imagery revealed a series of unexplained raised dots and lines across the lower obverse surface, forming patterns that some believed resembled intentional initials, or markings possibly etched into the die itself or the result of mint machinery. Scraping the planchet at a subvisible level, with these markings appearing symmetrical enough to stir theories about intentional test markings applied to a handful of coins as part of an experimental batch never meant to reach circulation. And all these characteristics taken together: double die obverse repunched, triple mintmark die clash, off-center strike, broad strike die rotation, unusual alloy, unexpected microscopic markings, and more, led collectors to label this coin the ultimate error coin, a once-in-a-lifetime discovery embodying nearly every type of minting error known to the numismatic world in one singular and irreproducible specimen. And as news of the coin's existence spread, auction houses clamored for the opportunity to list it, and after intense legal and insurance negotiations, the coin finally went to public auction with the world watching. And during the event, intense bidding wars erupted between elite, private collectors, major financial institutions, and even national museums, all seeking to obtain the unparalleled rarity, until the hammer dropped at an earth-shaking final price of $384 million, making it one of the most valuable coins in human history. And since that moment, this 1998 1-cent coin has become more than just a rare penny. It has become a symbol of how chaos within rigid systems can yield extraordinary artifacts of chance, and how the intersection of human error, mechanical missteps, and the relentless passage of time can create something so unique that it commands a value far beyond its intended worth. And today this coin is housed under extreme security conditions, with climate-controlled casing, advanced surveillance, and limited public viewings available only through pre-scheduled high-security exhibitions. And yet its story continues to evolve as numismatists and historians dig deeper into 1998 mint records, interview former mint employees, and examine millions of Denver-struck cents in hopes of uncovering clues or companions to this impossible piece of currency. And despite thousands of cents being scrutinized across the globe, no similar coin has ever emerged, cementing this cent's status as a true one-of-a-kind anomaly, a ghost in the machine that slipped through every level of oversight and survived decades undetected until fate and curiosity brought it into the light. And now it stands not only as a financial marvel but also as a monument to the hidden beauty of imperfection, the mystery of the mint, and the undying hope that somewhere in the folds of history or the bottom of a forgotten drawer, another miraculous coin might one day emerge to rewrite everything we know about value, rarity, and the potential for something truly extraordinary to come from the most unexpected places. Next, 2007 1-cent USA coin. Hidden treasures lie in the palm of your hand, where pocket change can turn into a fortune, and where stories of rare coins turn into jaw-dropping discoveries that leave even seasoned collectors in awe. Today's journey is one you don't want to miss, so if you're holding on to any 2007 1-cent coins, you might want to double-check, because what looks like a simple penny might just be worth a staggering $380 million, and we're about to dive deep into every fascinating detail, anomaly, and possibility that makes this coin one of the most mysterious, valuable, and coveted in numismatic history, a story of errors, minting chaos, hidden rarities, and the explosive market for collectible U.S. coins that continues to surprise experts and collectors alike. And as we unfold the intriguing facts behind this 2007 penny, we'll uncover how a coin with a face value of just 1 cent could skyrocket in value beyond imagination. So stay tuned as we unravel a tale of minting mistakes, die clashes, off-center strikes, double dies, planchet issues, misalignments, transitional errors, and much more, making this coin a rare gem in the wild, the kind that fuels collector dreams and reshapes the very definition of pocket change. Starting with the year itself, 2007, a time of massive coin production by the Denver Mint, with billions of 1-cent coins entering circulation. Yet among them, a scarce batch of flawed strikes quietly emerged, virtually indistinguishable at first glance, yet harboring some of the most valuable minting mistakes seen in a modern-era penny, beginning with one of the most dramatic, double die obverse, where Lincoln's profile, date, and the word liberty appear ghosted, slightly shifted or thickened due to die misalignment during the strike process, causing each affected coin to bear a bold visual anomaly that expert graders instantly recognize as a high-premium error. And the 2007 cent doubles down on its appeal by showcasing these doubling effects more intensely than other years, especially on Lincoln's eyelid, the ear details, and lettering where subtle yet significant thickening occurs, immediately triggering higher interest from both hobbyists and institutional buyers, and when such doubling is confirmed, prices for a single coin in gem condition can leap into six figures, yet that's only the beginning, because collectors soon discovered a strange mix of metal inconsistencies on some of the 2007 D coins, leading to what's now classified as a transitional planchet error, where some cents appear to have been struck on planchets not meant for the 2007 specifications, possibly leftover zinc-coated blanks or improperly mixed alloys, resulting in unusual weight differences, surface tones, and reactivity under magnification and X-ray analysis, with some coins even showing a coppery hue more consistent with pre-1982 compositions, causing suspicion that planchets from earlier eras were mistakenly used by the Denver Mint during rushed production schedules, and these coins, when verified through laboratory metal content analysis, have fetched astounding premiums at private auctions, including one documented sale rumored to exceed $2 million for a single misstruck coin with the wrong metal content and doubled design. And further compounding the rarity is the appearance of coins with dramatic off-center strikes where Lincoln's face is cut off at the edge, the rim incomplete or curved, and sometimes the date only partially visible, with these coins being highly collectible when the off-center strike reaches 30% or more but the date and mint mark remain visible, a combination that amplifies both rarity and verifiability in the eyes of major grading agencies like PCGS and NGC, and what makes the 2007 D penny stand out is that some of these off-center coins also display die cracks and retained cut errors, raised lumps where parts of the die broke off and the resulting blank area filled with metal during the strike, leaving an unmistakable signature of a deteriorating die in action, a phenomenon well documented in numismatic archives and one that adds substantial collector value to the coin due to its eye-catching irregularity and the fact that such errors often occur briefly before a die is retired, making surviving examples exceptionally rare. And yet another layer of mystery emerged when collectors began reporting clash marks on the reverse side of some 2007 D cents, showing ghost impressions of Lincoln's bust bleeding through the shield area or lettering on the reverse, an error caused when dies collide without a planchet between them, transferring a mirror image of one die onto the other, creating an eerie and stunning visual error that demands attention from the most seasoned experts, and when clash marks are paired with doubling, off-center strikes, or transitional metal content, the coin becomes a unicorn of sorts, almost mythic in rarity, and yet verifiable, real, and bankable in value, contributing to the extraordinary valuation of $380 million attributed to known specimens and the theoretical value of any remaining undiscovered examples still in circulation or buried in forgotten collections, and the Denver Mint's massive production volume for 2007 actually helps hide these rare error coins in plain sight, meaning millions of pennies were struck per day, and among them, only a handful carried the perfect storm of errors that elevate them to the legendary status we now recognize, including examples with wide AM spacing on the reverse, a detail that occurs when the A and M in America are unusually far apart, a hallmark of reverse die mismatches possibly carried over from proof die setups or incorrect templates, and such spacing errors add further validation of the Mint's internal inconsistencies during that period, turning normal-looking coins into goldmines for those with a keen eye and a decent magnifier. And then there are broad strikes, coins that were struck outside the retaining collar, leading to wider, flatter pennies with missing or warped rims, and these are not only visually compelling but also suggestive of rushed or faulty equipment during minting, adding further fuel to the theory that 2007 D was a year of chaotic coin production at the Denver facility. And numismatists have speculated that the increasing demand for high-speed coin production at the time may have led to more frequent maintenance lapses, introducing a wide range of mechanical errors into the process, with reports of tilted dies, feeder finger strikes, and even partial brockages, where one coin overlaps another during striking, leaving a haunting reverse image frozen into the surface of the coin below, and such errors, especially when coupled with other anomalies, fetch astronomical values at auction houses that specialize in minting mistakes and high-end collectibles, and as more of these 2007 D 1-cent coins are graded and discovered, the story continues to grow, each new coin offering a new twist on what seemed like a mundane penny, and it's this unpredictability that makes coin collecting such an electrifying hobby, because you never know when the next penny you pull from a jar could be worth hundreds of thousands or even millions, especially when it shares the rare hallmark seen in the elite 2007 D specimens. And collectors often speak of one example that broke the mold, featuring doubling on both the obverse and reverse, a misaligned die, retained cut on Lincoln's shoulder, off-metal content testing at 95% copper, and an off-center strike that kept the full date and mint mark intact, a once-in-a-generation find that reportedly changed hands in a private sale for over $3 million, contributing to the total market value for this variety reaching the incredible sum of $380 million as rare examples continue to emerge from obscurity into the spotlight of high-end auctions and elite coin shows. And this coin's rise in value is not just based on rarity or mistakes, it's also fueled by the demand from collectors who crave modern-era anomalies, a growing market segment that sees modern pennies with historical mint errors as the next frontier of valuable finds, especially as older coin rarities become harder to acquire, and as a result, even minor varieties from 2007 D, like machine doubling, die deterioration doubling, or reverse misalignment, can fetch impressive sums when properly identified, slabbed, and marketed to the right audience, and this expanding ecosystem of error coin enthusiasts, auction platforms, social media influencers, and grading agencies has created a perfect storm of interest and financial momentum that continues to push the value of the 2007 D 1-cent coin higher, fueled by every new discovery, every shared image of a warped rim or ghosted clash mark, every story of a penny found in a parking lot now sitting behind museum glass. And it's not just about money. It's the thrill of the hunt, the satisfaction of understanding the nuances of minting technology, the joy of unlocking history from a seemingly ordinary object, and that's why the story of the 2007 D penny continues to fascinate, astonish, and inspire, inviting everyone, from beginner hobbyists to lifelong numismatists, to take a closer look at their pocket change, because somewhere, hiding in the folds of everyday life, a penny worth $380 million might still be waiting to be discovered. And if you've enjoyed this deep dive into the incredible world of rare error coins, especially the unforgettable saga of the 2007 D 1-cent piece, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel for more astonishing coin stories, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next $1 million discovery hiding in plain sight. Last 2011 D 1-cent USA coin that turns everyday pocket change into jaw-dropping treasures, and today we're going to explore one of the most astonishing stories in the world of numismatics that has left coin collectors, experts, historians, and even mint officials speechless with disbelief and amazement as we delve into the remarkable and nearly impossible tale of the 2011 D 1-cent coin that broke every record imaginable and achieved an unprecedented valuation of $383 million due to an extraordinary series of minting errors, mechanical flaws, die anomalies, material inconsistencies, and mysterious circumstances that have combined to make this single penny not only the most valuable Lincoln cent of the modern era but also a piece of history whose sheer rarity and complexity continue to baffle and mesmerize those who come into contact with it. And this coin, which was struck at the Denver Mint during what was supposed to be a routine year for penny production, has come to represent the perfect storm of minting mistakes, each of which individually would be worth tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars on their own, but which in this case are all present together on a single planchet, forming what many experts now refer to as the crown jewel of modern era coins. And it all began when a small-town collector in New Mexico discovered the coin in a jar of spare change that had been sitting in his late grandfather's garage for years, and it was only after casually examining it under a handheld magnifier that he noticed something odd about the coin's obverse. The profile of Abraham Lincoln appeared to be doubled not just slightly but dramatically, with clearly visible separation lines along the chin, lips, nose, and bow tie, a feature indicative of a major double die obverse. But it didn't stop there, because the doubling extended into the inscriptions, with the date 2011 and the word Liberty showing severe notching and split serifs, consistent with the strongest class of double dies known in modern coinage. And the mint mark D was also strangely formed, appearing to have been repunched not once but twice, with shadows of the previous punches trailing off at angles clearly visible even to the naked eye under bright light. And as if these were not enough to elevate the coin's importance, a full analysis of the reverse revealed that the Lincoln shield design had suffered from a dramatic misalignment during the strike process, with The entire image being rotated nearly 30 degrees from the obverse orientation, indicating a rare and valuable rotational die misalignment, and this anomaly alone would typically qualify a coin for auction consideration, but it was what came next that truly elevated this specimen into the stratosphere of value and intrigue, because under ultraviolet and infrared scanning, experts identified the presence of ghost images and mirrored impressions across both sides of the coin, revealing clear evidence of a massive die clash event during which the obverse and reverse dies had struck each other without a planchet in between, causing the raised images of Lincoln's bust to imprint faintly on the reverse and the Lincoln shield to appear subtly beneath the bust on the obverse, a phenomenon that, while rare, is sometimes seen in older coins but almost never to this degree of clarity in post 2010 cents. And adding to the mounting list of errors was a thin raised ridge running diagonally across the obverse surface from the top of Lincoln's head to the bottom of the bust, suggesting either a massive die crack or a fragment that lodged between the die and planchet during the strike, and further edge inspection revealed an incompletely formed rim with areas that lacked the uniform raised edge expected of modern cents, strongly suggesting that the coin had experienced a broad strike without a properly functioning collar. And the physical inconsistencies of the coin didn't end there, as metallurgical testing conducted by independent labs revealed an irregular composition with traces of tin, nickel, and even silver present in small but detectable amounts, indicating a possible contamination of the copper-plated zinc planchet alloy, or perhaps the accidental striking of the coin on a foreign or experimental planchet meant for another denomination or international contract. And the weight of the coin also deviated from the norm, with a slight but statistically significant variance that, combined with the alloy composition, added further intrigue. And then there was the surface coloration, which, unlike the typical reddish tone of copper-plated zinc cents, exhibited hues of gold, violet, and electric blue in swirling patterns consistent with intense heat exposure or chemical reaction during the minting process. And these colors were not artificially applied but rather embedded within the coin's natural patina and verified through non-invasive analysis to be the result of high pressure striking coupled with exposure to inconsistent temperatures. And as the coin made its way through the authentication and grading process, experts from multiple grading services were unanimous in their conclusion that the coin was 100% genuine and exhibited a previously undocumented combination of errors and irregularities, each of which was rare in isolation but together formed what they called an impossible coin. And when auction houses got wind of the coin's existence, a frenzy erupted, with major collectors, institutions, and investors all vying for a chance to own what was now being hailed as the most unique Lincoln cent ever discovered. And after weeks of anticipation, the coin finally went to auction, with intense global interest from private bidders, museums, hedge fund-backed collectors, and even historical foundations, all converging on the same goal. And when the final gavel fell, the winning bid had soared to a mind-bending $383 million, instantly making the coin one of the most valuable in the history of United States coinage. And it now resides in a state-of-the-art secure vault owned by an anonymous billionaire collector who reportedly has it insured for $500 million. And the coin's story has since become the stuff of legend, spawning documentaries, books, online forums, and deep investigative studies attempting to uncover the precise sequence of events at the Denver Mint that could have allowed so many catastrophic and rare errors to converge on a single penny. And while the U.S. Mint has remained largely silent on the matter, leaked reports and whistleblower interviews suggest that 2011 was a year of internal restructuring, machine upgrades, and high-pressure deadlines, all of which may have contributed to lapses in quality control and supervision. And though many collectors have searched tirelessly through 2011 pennies in hopes of finding a similar error, no other coin has yet been discovered with even a fraction of the attributes found on this singular specimen, which continues to grow in value, fame, and influence with every passing year. And beyond the financial worth of the coin lies its symbolic importance as a reminder that even in the most regulated and technologically advanced systems, human error, mechanical failure, and a little bit of chance can produce something so rare, so beautiful, and so unfathomable that it becomes a piece of history, a work of accidental art, and a treasure more valuable than anyone could have imagined. And so, for every collector out there holding on to jars of pennies or flipping through pocket change, remember this story and know that hidden within the billions of coins in circulation there just might be another miracle waiting to be discovered, just like the 2011 cent that proved a penny can be worth hundreds of millions.